Hello everybody, Raven Knight here. I got a real treat for you today. I got a very interesting thing we're going to read. Now I'm going to go ahead and warn you right now, this is not scripted. I'm speaking from the cuff, from the heart, because I felt like this is one that I just had to approach in that manner. But today is going to be very, very fun. I hope you guys are excited. So I was sent this the other day from a fan, and they sent me a link to the Dead by Daylight Reddit to take a look at this letter that was sent to Behavior Interactive. Now, for those of you who don't know, I do play Dead by Daylight on occasion. I'm not very good at the game, but I do enjoy it, and I make some content around it and stream it. It's a very fun game. And one thing that I have kept up with in terms of Dead by Daylight is the arrival of new chapters, new killers, new survivors. I like to keep up with that to kind of know what's coming in the game. And I heard a couple months ago that there would be in 2025 a chapter dedicated to Five Nights at Freddy's. And this was met with a lot of excitement from the general community. A lot of excitement from my own fan base who were all asking me, Raven, what do you think of that? They're finally adding Five Nights at Freddy to Dead by Daylight. Now, personally, it's not a big deal to me. I'm not a huge Five Nights at Freddy fan. Now, don't get me wrong, I like the franchise. I think it's very unique, and I have to admire it for its staying power, its huge fan base, the people who have really brought it out. I mean, you got to give the game credit. For an indie game that really no one really expected to do well, it blew up in popularity, and it is one of the most popular gaming franchises out there right now, and so, you know what? You got to respect that. So I think it's really cool that they're going to involve Five Nights at Freddy in Dead by Daylight. I don't know how. There's been speculation that the killer's going to be Springtrap and that the survivor will be a security guard. Like, who knows? I'm very interested to see how they approach this. I think it will be fun. I think it'll be a very creative chapter, and kudos to Behavior Interactive for going forward with it, especially since it's something that the community really, really wanted, and it's always nice to see developers actually listening to their community and giving them what they've requested after a very, very long period of time. So even though it's not my preferred chapter, hey, you know what? I'm excited. I'm interested to see what they do. But not everyone is excited. Oh no, there are some people out there who are not excited about the coming of Five Nights at Freddy to Behavior Interactive's Dead by Daylight. No. And this letter that we're going to be taking a look at today is from a concerned fan, who shall remain anonymous, who wanted to express their issues with the adding of Five Nights at Freddy. We're going to read the letter together, and I'm going to break down as we go through why this letter is not only poorly written and thought out, but in my opinion, very out of touch. So, you know what? Let's not waste any time. Let's dive right into this letter. Again, none of this is scripted, so bear with me. Here we go. First paragraph. Dear Behavior Interactive, in the midst of our collective excitement and joy over the new announcement regarding the 2025 crossover with the long-requested Five Nights at Freddy series, I want to take a chance to tell you that this decision has been controversial, to say the very least. Okay, so already in this very first sentence of the first paragraph, we have a major contradiction. It is a huge contradiction, and let's go back and break it down so you can see it. So, Dear Behavior Interactive, in the midst of our collective excitement and joy. Okay, that bit right there is positive. It implies that everyone, the collective, everyone is excitement, it's joy, we're all pumped, this is great. The announcement of Five Nights at Freddy coming has got us all excited and joyous. Why? Well, it reveals with the long-requested Five Nights at Freddy series. Long-requested, so not only are we excited and joyous for this, it's something we've wanted for a long time. We have requested Five Nights at Freddy be incorporated into Dead by Daylight for a long time. The community has wanted this for a very, very long period, and now we're getting it, and we are all excited and joyous. Very accurate summation. However, there's a twist. I want to take a chance to tell you that this decision has been controversial, to say the least. So already we have an issue. We're all excited and happy about something that we've requested for a long period of time finally coming to the game, but this decision was controversial. Was it? How so? Why is it controversial if everyone's happy about it? We'll see why in just a second. I doubt this letter will make any difference, but I figured that I would at least give it a shot and spread the word on why this choice was so poorly thought out and out of touch to begin with. Okay, so out of touch and poorly thought out. Right. So let's analyze that for a minute. What do we know about the Five Nights at Freddy announcement based on this opening letter? What do we know about it? Well, we know that it was long requested. The community has wanted this for a very, very long time. Now it has been announced, it is coming, and what are we? We are collectively excited and joyous over it. However, it was poorly thought out and out of touch. Now, when I hear the phrase out of touch, my first thought is someone who is not listening, someone who is not paying attention to the wider collective group. But how can that be? If we've requested Five Nights at Freddy to be in Dead by Daylight, and the developers have added Five Nights at Freddy to be in Dead by Daylight, seems to me like they were very much in touch with the community. They were listening to the community's request, and they said, okay, if that's what the community wants, let's find a way to add it. That sounds to me like they were very much in touch. And since the community is what makes them money, they need the Dead by Daylight community to support what they do to make money. Seems to me like it was well thought out because they said, okay, the community clearly wants Five Nights at Freddy's and Dead by Daylight, meaning they will buy the chapter when we release it. Therefore, if we want to make money from the community, let's give the community what they request so that they will buy it. Again, that seems well thought out and in touch with the community. But according to this letter writer, no, it is out of touch, it is poorly thought out, and controversial, despite that it was a long-requested thing that is now making us collectively excited and joyous to hear it's coming. Do you see why this opening paragraph, this opening 2 sentences, is already very contradicting? This is not making a lot of sense, it's very poorly structured. What I would have done here is I would have opened with saying, hey, you know what? I know that you thought this was a good idea. And I understand it, but, and then spend the rest of your letter breaking down the problem. But what we have here is, look, we're all excited, we're all happy, but you're done. That's essentially what this comes down to. We're all happy about this. Clearly, everyone's excited, but it's not a good thing. And I'm like, how? So let's find out. Let's read the second paragraph. First and foremost, as a seemingly pro-LGBT plus development studio who has held many Pride events and even included a few LGBT plus characters in series, both good and evil alike, think David and Susie respectively, it perplexes and deeply disappoints many of us, your queer players especially, that you have essentially chosen to support a man who was found out to have donated thousands to various right-wing politicians from Mitch McConnell to Donald Trump. Whew. Well, okay, so that second paragraph was actually one massively long run-on sentence. Not a fan of that as an English writer, but whatever. Let's break this down too. As a seemingly pro-LGBT plus development studio. So, seemingly pro-LGBT plus. Seemingly. The word seemingly there seems to imply that we're not sure you are. You look like it. You could be. You definitely present as such. But, we still got some questions. You may not really be pro-LGBT. But then they present evidence to show that they are, saying, you have had many Pride events, okay, and included a few LGBT plus characters in series, both good and evil alike, David and Susie respectively. Okay, well, that does sound pretty pro-LGBT. And I remember doing a whole video where I talked about how David's lore was deliberately rewritten to make him LGBT. And then, of course, if you play the game, you'll see plenty of characters who have LGBT charm flags on their hooks or on their little belts or what have you. So, yeah, I think that it's pretty clear that they do lean in that direction, or at the very least, they do support it. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think some of their staff are also LGBT themselves. So I would argue, it's more than seemingly, I think they are pretty pro-LGBT. Okay, so what's with the seemingly here? You just demonstrated very clearly that, yeah, they're LGBT. But let's see what this person says. It perplexes and deeply disappoints many of us, your queer players especially, that you have essentially chosen to support a man who was found out to have donated thousands of various right-wing politicians from Mitch McConnell to Donald Trump. Okay. Perplexes and deeply disappoints many of us. So a majority of us, a large number. But I thought you said our collective excitement and joy at this news. So are we all collectively excited and joyous, or are many of us very upset? See, I'm going to tell you the truth. It should not matter. It should not matter, because what many people who play Dead by Daylight want is more characters in game, more killers, more survivors, more maps, more creativity. That's what we want. And we are more than capable of taking our politics and leaving them at the door to enjoy a horror game. Why? Because Five Nights at Freddy, at the end of the day, is not political. It is a story of a security guard trying to survive a series of nights against animatronic enemies trying to kill them. That's all there is to it. There's no politics. There's no presidents or ex-presidents. None of that. It is just a horror game. And many people like that horror game and want to see it incorporated at a Dead by Daylight. Because that's the nature of it. Not everyone looks at everything and has to go, oh, right, but who's affiliated with it? Yes, Scott Cawthorn is more right-leaning. Yes, he is Christian. Yes, he has donated to right-wing groups before, because that is his politics. But I think it is very sad and even pathetic that people would take that and use that as a reason to try to cancel something. I think I don't do that. I don't do that. I do not look at anything and say, well, this person who leans this way politically is against me politically, therefore I will not engage with their media. If I did that, I would be very sad, because the truth is, some of the best products, games, movies, and TV shows made have a widely diverse group of people working on them. Some who agree with me politically, some who don't agree with me politically. And if I just said, you've got 3 people involved with this that disagree with me politically, therefore I cannot engage with it, that's silly. That is absolutely silly. But regardless of that, let's keep reading. Though he has also donated to various pro-LGBT plus charities, charities don't solve the main systemic issues at hand, which is why his political donations are so much more severe and important. All right, so let me explain this from that sentence alone. This is why I believe you should never cater to people like this. I don't just mean LGBT people or left-leaning people. Anyone who tries to use politics to strong-arm you into doing anything. Because you can't please them. You cannot make them happy. Notice, he has donated to various pro-LGBT plus charities. Okay, so he's not against LGBT people. He's clearly donated to some charities that involve them, and which I think is pretty big of him, since he's more right-leaning and Christian. The fact that he's even willing to donate to these charities shows at least some solidarity. It shows that he doesn't hate them or despise them. But charities don't solve the main systemic issues at hand. Okay, so then what would you ask him to do? What is he allowed to do? What can he do? What can anyone do to placate you? And the answer is nothing. There's nothing Scott Cawthorn could do to really prove to you that he is worth your time and energy. So what I would do, and this is my honest advice to this person, I would separate the artist from the art and enjoy Five Nights at Freddy for what it is. And if you can't do that, then don't engage with it, and just don't buy the chapter when it comes out in Dead by Daylight. When it comes out, just don't buy it. Do not put your money towards something you don't like. You don't have to get it. It's that simple. Just like you don't have to buy Five Nights at Freddy, you don't have to buy the chapter. Hey, I think that works. But let's keep going. This wouldn't be so bad if, like the rest of their party, they weren't fighting tooth and nail to strip away the hard-won right of LGBT plus people, women, and so on. This is especially egregious given the infamous Project 2025 document that was revealed some time ago. I love this last sentence in the paragraph because it has nothing to do with Cawthorn. It has nothing to do with Dead by Daylight. It has nothing to do with Five Nights at Freddy. It is just them ranting about what they don't like about the right-wing political party. Okay, so I think we can totally ignore that. I think we can totally dismiss that entirely, because what we have in this paragraph, in these 2 sentences, is beautiful. You open up saying, okay, yes, Cawthorn did do this, which I do like, but it's not enough because the right wing does blank. I don't care about the right wing in this. In fact, I barely care about Cawthorn in this. What Cawthorn does with his money is his business. Where Cawthorn chooses to donate is his business. I'm not going to question it. If I want to play his game, I will play his game. If I want to buy the chapter for Five Nights at Freddy on Dead by Daylight, I will do that. I don't care about politics. I play games to get away from politics. But if you don't like it, if that is too big a deal for you, then again, my advice remains the same. Don't buy the chapter. Don't engage with it. Stop. Quit. Desist. Again, I think it is great that Behavior Interactive is willing to associate with people and work with people who they may not agree with on everything, but they know could do great things for their community. That shows maturity. It shows, that they care about running their business and making their game fun and making their community happy more so than they do touting a political line, because games should not be politically motivated. At least that's the way I look at it. But this whole last bit of the paragraph is just you whinging about politics. I don't care, and no one should. This is about a game. Moving on. It is unlikely that many of you were aware of this Reasoner controversy, given that anyone who tried to criticize Mr. Cawthorn during the initial incident was silenced, shut down, and slammed by various content creators, while major figures like MatPat and Daco were, for lack of kinder words, useless in clearing up the situation in an adequate and honest manner. Okay, another long sentence. I'll admit, I don't keep up with Scott Cawthorn and his situation. I know very little about it. I also don't keep up much with MatPat and whoever Daco is, so I don't know much about that either. But based on what I have heard and learned, yes, Mr. Cawthorn went through some hell for his political decisions and religious leanings, including death threats sent to his home, forced off of social media because of these threats, and threats against his pregnant wife. So, you know what? Look, you don't have to like the guy, you don't have to support his product or his politics, but there are lines you don't cross, and that is a line crossed. So I'm sorry, I lean more with him on that than anything else. And then, okay, this bit that I want to talk about here. It is unlikely that many of you were aware of this reasoning or controversy. Hold on. Didn't you say in the first paragraph that this decision was out of touch? Out of touch implies that you need to be more aware, but hold on, now you're saying that you probably weren't aware because everyone silences it, everyone tries to cover it up, but you're acting like many of us know. Many of us are upset about this. Many of us are angry about what you're doing here. Many of us are very perplexed and disappointed that you would work with someone so obviously heinous. Yes, he's donated to LGBTQ causes, but just look at what he supports. Of course, you may not be aware. Hold on. Then how am I out of touch? It's a secret. It's hidden. Like Gandalf said, keep it secret, keep it safe. No one knows, no one cares. But apparently now, you need to be aware. Why should we care? Why should we care? The way I see it, let him support who he wants to support. Let him enjoy what he wants to enjoy. Let him worship whatever he wants to worship. You know, that's his right. It's his ability. And just as it is your right not to buy the chapter when it comes out. But again, it is unlikely that many of you were aware of this reason or controversy. But if you weren't aware of it, you're out of touch. Anyway, let's move on. In short, should you choose to go through with this specific crossover, you will be showing that your support for your queer players is shaky and untrustworthy at best, and contributing to a larger problem overall. And there it is, folks. This is exactly the reason why I wanted to respond to this letter, and why I again say you should never bend the knee to people like this. You should never cater. Anyone who ever says that you should change your ideals, principles, or goals to suit the needs of these people, never cave to them. And I don't care if it's left-leaning, right-leaning, queer, or straight. I don't care. Never cave to these kind of people, because it will never be enough to satisfy. Remember, they said in like the second paragraph, hey, we know that you've done all this for queer players. We know that you seem pretty pro-LGBT, from adding charms to the game, adding characters that are LGBTQ to the game, and even hosting events all about supporting pro-LGBT stuff. But if you allow for this, your support of us is shaky at best. It does not, it's just like what they said about Cawthorn donating to pro-LGBT charities. It's just not enough. We can't be satisfied if you don't toe the line 110%. You put, to quote Mrs. Weasley, you put one toe out of line and we'll bring you straight home. And it's sad. It is pitiful. It's pathetic that anyone would act like this. Here's the reality. I've said it a couple times, but I'll say it again. Do you want to know the easiest fix to this? Don't buy the damn chapter. Speak with your money. If what you say is true, and there's a wide majority of the audience that do not like this and are uncomfortable with this, then they will not buy the chapter. They will not get it, and thus it will show behavior. You know what? We shouldn't have associated with Five Nights at Freddy and Scott Cawthorn. But here's the rub. What if you're wrong? What if a lot of people, as you said, are excited and joyous about this? Well, now you're scared, because it means that they will make a lot of money off of this, and it will show that it was a good idea to associate with Five Nights at Freddy, and it will show you even worse that the vast majority of the player base of this game couldn't care less about politics. They just want to enjoy a game, and more power to them. We should keep politics out of gaming as much as possible. Whew. But yeah, this is egregious. This is egregious. It will show that your support for your queer players is shaky and untrustworthy at best. So there's no better than that. You're just untrustworthy or shaky if you agree to go through with this. Forget all the good stuff you've done. You are just unshaky, and you are just untrustworthy and shaky towards us. We can't trust you. Again, don't ever cater to these people. Behavior, if you're watching this, don't listen to this guy. Don't listen to this guy. Don't listen to him. You're doing a good thing. You've made your community very happy. They're all excited for this. I've got fans telling me constantly, hey, you heard about the Five Nights at Freddy thing coming to Dead by Daylight? Oh, what do you think it's going to be? Do you think it's going to be Springtrap? Probably going to be Springtrap, man. Like, people are pumped for this. Don't cater to this. Do not. Don't be afraid of them. All right, let's keep reading. We understand why you would want to cross over with Five Nights at Freddy, and even most of us who disagree with this choice would have loved to have it ourselves. Oh... That sentence actually gave me brain rot. What was this? We understand why you would want to cross over with Five Nights at Freddy. Okay, you understand the desire. You get why. Why? Could you elaborate? Why do they want to cross over? Say it out loud. Speak it. Put that into words. Why does Behavior Interactive want to get Five Nights at Freddy in the game? Why? You don't say it in this letter, so why? Tell us. I'll tell you why. I'll give you a few reasons. Number one, it's what the community asked for. And any development company for a game should always listen to their community. Number two, it is a very popular horror franchise, and Dead by Daylight is very good at taking popular horror franchises and incorporating them into the game. Three, it's new content, and new content keeps a game alive longer. So it only behooves them to continue to add new content. Those are three very good reasons right there why. And your reason for not adding it? Well, the creator doesn't agree with us politically. You know what? That's 3-1, baby. And that one you offered wasn't even a good one. And even most of us who disagree with this choice would have loved to have it ourselves. So you disagree with the choice to add Five Nights at Freddy, but you'd love to have Five Nights at Freddy. That confused me at first, but I guess the idea is it's kind of like saying, you know what, I'd love to eat at Olive Garden, but I know that I shouldn't eat at Olive Garden. So it's the idea of you're basically saying, oh, I'd love to have Five Nights at Freddy, but I know that I shouldn't. Okay, for health reasons, I understand that. Like, it's kind of like, I'd really love to eat a very greasy burger and fries, but I know that health-wise, that's not a good idea, so I won't. That makes sense to me. But what you're saying here is, look, I'd really love to have Five Nights at Freddy. I think that'd be great for the game, but I know that we shouldn't because it's not politically nice to do so. It is not politically advantageous to do so. And that, to me, doesn't make sense. We know it would be good for the game. We know we'd enjoy it in the game. We know that the community would love this, but we don't want to. Why? Because the creator might benefit, and the creator is someone we don't like. That, to me, is, again, petty. That is so petty. But let's keep going. Unfortunately, this crossover sits ill with many. Yeah, ignore the people you said earlier, the collectively excited and joyous. Ignore those. But many of us, it sits ill with many of us. And by some tiny chance you can do so, please reconsider your partnership going forward. I love this last bit. It sounds so nice, doesn't it? And by some tiny chance you can do so. I imagine Tiny Tim saying it. Please, sir, and by some tiny chance if you could do it, if it doesn't hurt you in any way, if it is at all possible, you know, if it's not too much trouble, could you? No, you made it very clear. You said at the beginning, if you go forward with this, you're showing us how much you hate queer people. You're showing us that your support of us is shaky at best. So don't play this whole, we're going to offer you an olive branch here. We're going to say, oh, you know, we understand that you said this. It was a big announcement. We get it. I get it. And if it's not too much trouble, if there's a tiny chance you could you maybe back off this? Because if you don't, you're bigots. You're anti-LGBT. You're just shaky and untrustworthy at the very best. You know, like that's the best that we could say about you. But we don't want you to go out of your way. No, this doesn't work. You made it clear your opinion from the very beginning of this paragraph. If you don't cancel this partnership, you're hateful to LGBTQ people, regardless of all the good stuff you've done for LGBTQ people in the past. Don't give me this nonsense of this, oh, if it's not too much trouble, if there's a tiny chance you could. Don't give me that. You've made it clear. Either you do this or you're the enemy. And all I can say to that is behavior, don't cave. Do not cave. You've done a good thing here. Stay the course. Sincerely, a concerned fan. Sincerely, a concerned fan. I don't consider you a fan. See, a fan of something cares about the product. See, I was a Star Wars fan for a very long time. When I saw what Disney was doing to the Star Wars series, I slowly began to hate Star Wars. I slowly began to detest what was happening to it. Not because I hate Star Wars itself, but because I hate seeing something I love fall away from something that I enjoyed. It was ruining the lore. It was ruining the connectivity. But as a fan, I wanted to see it do better. I cared about Star Wars as a whole. I cared about what was being added and incorporated into Star Wars. In Dead by Daylight, the fans of Dead by Daylight, the true fans of this game, have said, long requested, you put it in your first paragraph, long requested, that this game give us Five Nights at Freddy. This was a long requested thing. Give us Five Nights at Freddy, please, behavior. And now it's been announced and everyone's excited and happy. The fans are excited and joyous. The fans of this game who care about the health of Dead by Daylight, who care about the content of Dead by Daylight, who care about enduring this game, keeping it alive as long as possible, are happy for this decision. You are not. Why are you not? Is it because you care about Dead by Daylight? No. You haven't said why this is bad for Dead by Daylight. You haven't said why adding Five Nights at Freddy is bad for the game. You haven't said why it's bad for the community. You said why it's bad for our opinions of the developers. Because if they add it, they're demonstrating that they support the wrong side. If they add it, they're demonstrating that it doesn't look good. You even acknowledged in the last paragraph, we understand why you'd want to add it, because it makes the game look good, because the game will be more fun, it's more content, it's something largely requested, it's something that the fans really want to see. But have you thought about the fact that it may make you look politically inappropriate? And all I can say to that is, screw you. Screw that whole idea. Keep politics out of gaming. Keep it out. Make games fun. Involve things that the community is excited to see. Involve things that everyone is pumped to get to. You said people like this say that they care about democracy. Well, you know what? Democracy is all about majority rule, right? Well, the majority of fans have wanted this. The majority of fans have wanted this outcome. They've got it, and now the person whinging is you. And I'm pretty sure that my rant here is not going to go over well. I'm pretty sure that there are going to be some people who are very upset with me for saying all this, but I'm going to be very real. I don't care. I don't care. I care more about Dead by Daylight surviving, thriving, and doing well than I do about how politically correct the developers look. I couldn't care less. Look, I am straight. I'm more right-leaning. I don't particularly care for the LGBT movement, but it doesn't bother me. If it bothered me, I wouldn't play Dead by Daylight, because Dead by Daylight has a lot of it. But I am willing to play the game and look past it. I'm willing to play the game and enjoy it despite that. It does not bother me one bit. The one bothered that they may not toe that line as much as you want is you. So who's got the problem here? Anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks to Lark for encouraging me to do this, because I wasn't going to at first. Lark really much encouraged me to do it because he said that this needs to be addressed. And thanks to the people who sent me the letter so that I could look over it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and as always, I will see you in my next video. Take care. Kill them all.
As they would say.